Well, I'm going to talk the first, and this is very exciting. So I guess that you know already that we Colombians are very good at this because we had a World Cup and we didn't have a team, but there was Shakira and then was Juanes. So it seems like I'm going to be the Shakira part, and you know that hips don't lie. So I'm going to tell you lots of things based on the place of the world where I live. I live in Colombia. According to Wolfram Alpha, that's my country, and that's the region where I look the world from. So obviously, I have some perspective on several things. This is Chris Anderson, and he sent this Twitter message, and this was the way I learned that he was in Colombia, saying that he was just back from Medellin, and he felt very safe, and Pablo Escobar was long ago. That's very good, because it really was long ago. There were some other editors, publishers. They have been in Brazil. They have been in other places of Latin America, and they're amazed of what they find there. Obviously, before coming here, I was in Mainz, 20 minutes away from here, where all this revolution started with this guy. And I'm reading right now a book that is very, very cool in my iPad, as Andrew said, and it's Reality Hunger. And Graham Greene used to say, when we are not sure, we are alive. And that is something that we have a lot in Colombia. So let's start with a story. The wristwatch. I think everybody knows where does it come from and why everybody has one. It has to do with Louis-François Cartier, the Frenchman that was very good with jewels, but also with South American. And that South American is Alberto Santos Dumont. I don't know how many of you know him, but he was flying airplanes, and he had a problem because the watch here was very complicated, so he had to develop something, and his friend gave him this gift. So sometimes when Europe and South America unite, great things happen. And this is something amazing. This is a completely unknown lady. But in the first flight that was from Barranquilla to Ocaña, the two beautiful ladies of society were expecting the German pilot that was in the plane. And these girls asked the guy what it was like flying, or how he feel flying. And the guy said, it's amazing. And then this lady said, well, can you take us with you? And the guy was like, excuse me, this is a first flight. I don't know what's going to happen. And she jumped into the plane with her sister, and she only said, hey, tell mom and dad that we're going to Barranquilla. She happens to be my grandmother. And I think it runs in a family. We jump into new technologies, and I think that's women in Latin America, and that's people in Latin America. We embrace different things. So this is the past, and this is the future sometimes, but it's just a window. There are no Photoshop effects. That was just the image. And as this writer from Mexico tweeted 20 minutes before coming to this event, opportunities are created. You don't have to wait for them. A good example is this. When we all saw Blade Runner, I was a little kid, I don't know about you, but I thought this is going to be very cool. I loved Philip Dick afterwards, but this movie was amazing for me. And then in the cinemas in Los Angeles or somewhere, there was this guy, Sonny Astani. Instead of thinking, this is great, he said, I'm going to build that building. And Sonny Astani is making this building in LA. I don't know if you know about that, but he was in Colombia having dinner with me 6 months ago, because they see opportunity in Latin America. They see opportunity in Colombia. Builders and people like that. Even we could see nothing there yet, because it's not the time. We maybe are not very good with reading devices and things like that. There's a good opportunity. This is a museum in Barranquilla, and the projection screens are made with tropical textures, with things that only exist there. Obviously, this is high technology, but placed in my country. So little kids go there, and instead of watching musicians playing live, they're watching these holograms of musicians, which is very strange. I'm talking to you now in Frankfurt, but 3 weeks ago I was talking to these 500 kids about the wonders of reading with a computer and an iPad and things like that. And these are very, very poor kids. And I think it's a big mistake that the only people that inspire kids in our countries, and maybe in yours, are rock stars, pop stars, soap opera stars, soccer stars. I think teachers could be like that. I don't understand why readers can't be like Mick Jagger. And so it could be different. And I know that this guy, Steve Jobs, said that nobody reads anymore in 2006. I think nobody reads the way they used to, and that's the proper thing. This is another conference in another place, and I think nothing is exactly the same. Indigenous people in Bolivia look very different right now. Everyone has a cell phone. Every single person in Bolivia, in Ecuador, in Peru, in Colombia have one. I think this is why 2 weeks ago I was in Manhattan and I saw this advertising from Apple, and it's obvious who they are targeting there. And this was New York Times magazine. Maybe some people don't read, but they are going to see faces and they are going to see expressions. And this could be a new way to read books. This could be a new way to explore communication. This is something for you to remind. In 2000, we all wanted this. In 2010, we all carry this in our pocket. This is the size of the new iPhone 4 or any other device. It's not about brands. It's about what is happening. This is the number of mobile phones in the world. And for me, it's amazing that this next picture was taken in the subway in Manhattan while I was visiting. And the guy in the middle is not listening to music, he's listening to a book, which is something that we don't have in Latin America. I don't know why, because it's very complicated. But there's a lot of people going in buses that are not so good to read, like subways. And they could be like this guy, but we are forced to watch TV all the time. So this could be something interesting. Last year, China was the guest of honor in this book fair, and it was amazing to see how their writings transferred very good to the iPod, iPhone, or whatever. And all these devices, I used to have one. I got in, like 4 years ago, I had a Sony reader, and I started sending messages to Sony. Why don't you come to Colombia? Why don't you come to Latin America? It would be great. There's a lot of people that would be interested in this. And they said, 2006, yeah, we're going to introduce the reader in 2010. Nobody was expecting the iPad. Nobody was expecting any of the things that happened, I know. But this is 2010, and they are not being introduced in Latin America yet. There are no ebook readers. Nobody can go anywhere and get an ebook reader, but they can try to get books and things like that. So these are the differences. These are the things that you all see. Obviously, the only machine, the Avalon, for Latin America seems to be this. And it's in the UK where you have all the options. This happened. Imagine what is going to happen in a country where the only option is with an Apple. And obviously, what is happening to my reader and what is happening to all my friends' readers is that suddenly they are losing their batteries. I don't know why, because the other one is more attractive. And even in the Netherlands, this is happening. The iPad is cannibalizing the laptops. And in Latin America, it was very common to buy laptops. This is the book fair where Andrew spoke in Bogota. The iPad was not released, and everybody in the front row, and it was 25 people around the meeting that had iPads, and only 3 ebook readers. This is TOC, Manhattan. I don't see any difference with Bogota. I don't see any difference with Buenos Aires. I don't see any difference. I mean, we have the same tools, we have the same technology. You have to remember that in Costa